you ever wondered what existed before paradise? Before God created the Garden of Eden, before Adam and Eve walked beneath its verdant canopy, and before life flourished upon the earth? If paradise was created, then what came before it? Was it emptiness, chaos, or something deliberately hidden from humanity? This question touches on one of the greatest mysteries of creation, a forgotten enigma buried in the depths of time. Most of us are familiar with the biblical account of creation as a linear sequence. God commanded, "Let there be light," and light appeared. He then shaped the heavens, the earth, the seas, living creatures, and finally, humankind. But is that truly the whole story? Could there be a lost chapter before the opening verse of Genesis? Scattered throughout Scripture are subtle clues suggesting that the beginning may not have been as simple as we assume. What does the Bible reveal about this enigmatic era, this phase of existence before Eden was even conceived? Imagine a time before time itself, an existence where the laws of reality as we know them may not have applied. The Garden of Eden was not God's first creation, so what preceded it? Was he working within something already present? Could Eden's formation have been a reaction to an event beyond our comprehension? Some scholars propose that before humanity's arrival, a monumental event had already taken place, an event that shaped the history of the universe itself. And what if I told you that certain passages in the Bible hint at a world before our own, a realm where celestial beings witnessed the formation of the earth with awe, and where a significant event transpired before paradise was even established? This goes beyond angels. It suggests something that could reshape our entire understanding of how everything began. In this video, we will explore these ancient mysteries, examine Scripture for hidden truths, and uncover what may have been deliberately concealed before the dawn of Eden. Are you ready for this journey? The story of creation is one of the most well-known accounts in the Bible. For many, it seems straightforward. God created the heavens and the earth, separated light from darkness, formed the seas and the land, and then established the Garden of Eden, a sacred place where he placed the first humans. It is a powerful story, retold for generations. But what if this version of creation, as we commonly understand it, is only a fragment of a much larger and more intricate narrative? Most people assume that the story of creation begins with the opening verse of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yet what if this statement does not describe the absolute beginning of everything, but rather a moment of renewal? What does that imply? Could something have existed before this first verse? Is it possible that there was a state of being before the world was shaped as we know it? After all, when God said, "Let there be light," was that light illuminating something that had already been there? A closer look at the biblical text reveals hints of deeper, hidden meanings. Genesis 1:2 states, "Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep." But why would God begin with a world that was chaotic and void? Was this a phase that preceded creation as we know it? Or was it the aftermath of something that had come before? What does the darkness over the deep truly represent? If we strictly adhere to the traditional perspective on creation, we might overlook a crucial detail. The heavens were already in place when the earth began to take form. This raises a fascinating question. Could there have been other realms, other dominions, or even other beings observing this process? The book of Job hints at this possibility, suggesting that the angels, referred to as the sons of God, were present and rejoicing when the foundations of the earth were established. But if the angels existed before the world was created, then where did they come from? And more importantly, what was their role in the grand design of creation? We know that God created a perfect world for humanity to inhabit. But was the Garden of Eden truly the starting point of creation? Or was it the result of an event that had already taken place? An event the Bible only hints at in hidden words. Did God not create the world from nothing but rather restore something that had been destroyed before? To uncover this mystery, we must go back in time. Before the Garden of Eden even existed, before order, there was primordial chaos. Before Eden, before light, before the separation of heaven and earth, the Bible describes a state of absolute disorder, an enigmatic presence at the dawn of the universe. In Genesis 1:2, we read, "Now the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep." But what does this truly mean? Is this merely a symbolic description, or does it suggest that the world had already existed in a ruined state before being restructured? The Hebrew phrase, tohu va-bohu, meaning formless and void or chaotic and desolate, appears elsewhere in the Bible, often linked to judgment, destruction, or something that once existed but was cast into ruin. Could it be that our world was not created from nothing, but was instead a reconstruction of a previous reality? Moreover, the mention of the deep and darkness in Genesis holds significant meaning. Throughout the Bible, the deep is often associated with mysterious, fearsome places, even the underworld or spiritual realms. If creation began in chaos, could this be a trace of a great event? A cosmic battle, divine judgment, or even the fall of a kingdom that predated humanity? Looking at the book of Jeremiah, in Jeremiah 4:23-26, the prophet describes a striking vision. "I looked at the earth, and behold, it was formless and empty." This description mirrors Genesis 1:2, yet it does not refer to the beginning of the world, but rather a destruction that occurred later. Could the chaos before Eden's creation be the aftermath of a prior catastrophe, rather than the absolute beginning? If something happened before Eden that left the world in ruins, what could it have been? A rebellion in heaven, a war among angels, a previous world that was destroyed before humanity was brought into existence? And more importantly, what does this reveal about the true purpose of the Garden of Eden? Was it merely the first home of mankind, or did it hold a deeper significance, a symbol of restoration, of divine order being re-established? To answer these questions, we must expand our perspective and consider a frequently overlooked aspect of creation: the heavens. Before Earth was formed, what existed in the heavens? When discussing creation, most people focus on the physical world: Earth, Eden, humanity. But the Bible states that before all of this, God created something else: the heavens. In Genesis 1:1, we read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Clearly, the earth underwent a process of formation. But what about the heavens? What was already there before the physical world came into being? Many assume the heavens simply refer to the sky, or the universe filled with stars. But in biblical language, this term often signifies a spiritual reality, a domain where God dwells, where angels exist, and perhaps even more. This suggests that before the physical world was created, there was already a spiritual kingdom, one inhabited by beings that predated humanity. But who were these inhabitants of that reality? What role did they play in creation? And most importantly, what truly happened before the physical world was born? The answers may lie hidden in ancient texts, waiting to be uncovered. Job 38:4-7 gives us a fascinating clue about creation. In this passage, God questions Job with words full of power and authority. "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who determined its measurements, who stretched the measuring line over it, on what were its foundations set, or who laid its cornerstone, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy." These words reveal that when God laid the foundations of the earth, there were already beings witnessing this event with awe and rejoicing. The sons of God in this passage are commonly understood to be angels, beings that existed even before the physical world was created. But if angels were present before the world was formed, this raises a profound question. What happened in the heavenly realm before the earth came into existence? Was there an established order in heaven? And if so, did something occur that made the creation of the physical world part of a greater plan, a response to events that had already taken place? In apocalyptic writings and ancient traditions, there are accounts of an era before humanity, a time when spiritual beings existed, serving divine purposes. However, some records also speak of a great rebellion, a conflict in the spiritual realm, whose consequences may have left an imprint on the very fabric of creation itself. If the physical world was created after something had already happened in the heavenly realm, could the Garden of Eden have been part of a restoration plan rather than the true beginning? More importantly, if angels existed before creation, did they all remain loyal to the Creator, or were there those who chose the path of rebellion? This question leads us to an even bolder hypothesis. Could there have been a world before humanity, a world that once existed but was destroyed, paving the way for a new beginning? If so, what happened to that world? How did it disappear? And do its remnants still influence our reality today? These are the mysteries we will uncover together. If the Garden of Eden was the beginning for humanity, then what existed before it? Clues within the Bible suggest that Earth may not have been created from nothing, but instead went through a process of restoration after a mysterious event. This leads to a fascinating hypothesis, the theory of a prior creation, also known as the gap theory, or the time gap hypothesis. But what does this actually mean? Let's return to the very beginning of the Bible. In Genesis 1:1, we read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." A clear declaration of creation. But immediately in Genesis 1:2, a strange detail appears. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. If God is a God of order and perfection, why would the world start in a state of chaos? Did he really create Earth as an incomplete, desolate wasteland? Or could a major event have occurred between the first and second verses of Genesis, an unspoken period in biblical history that left behind subtle traces in the universe? Jeremiah 4:23-26 might hold a key to this mystery. The prophet describes a haunting vision. "I looked at the earth, and behold, it was formless and void, and at the heavens, and they had no light. I looked, and there was no man, and all the birds of the air had fled. I looked, and the fruitful land was a wilderness, and all its cities were torn down before the fierce anger of the Lord." This passage appears to describe a world that once existed, but was later destroyed by a catastrophic event. But the most intriguing detail is the mention of cities being ruined. An unusual statement if we assume Adam was the first man. If no humans existed yet, then whose cities were these? Could this be indirect evidence of an earlier civilization before humanity? The theory of a prior creation suggests that Earth may have been home to other beings before humans, possibly angels or another form of life not explicitly mentioned in the Bible. However, for some reason, that world was wiped out, and God started anew with the creation of mankind. But what could have led to its destruction? Some scholars believe this event could be linked to a heavenly rebellion, a great war between Lucifer and the angels who defied God. If this theory is true, then Earth may have been a battleground or the aftermath of this conflict. The chaos described in Genesis 1:2 might not have been the original state of the universe, but rather the consequences of a devastating celestial event. This raises even deeper questions. What role did Lucifer play in this event? Was his rebellion the reason for the destruction of the previous world? If there was a civilization before humanity, what happened to them? Could remnants of that lost world still influence our present reality? To explore these possibilities further, we must turn our focus to the spiritual realm, a dimension that coexists with the material world, where supernatural beings existed before humankind. So, were angels truly the only inhabitants of the heavens before humanity? Or is there still an undiscovered mystery waiting to be revealed? In the next section, we will embark on a profound exploration of the spiritual realm, a domain where heavenly beings existed long before the Garden of Eden was formed. If the earth had undergone a period of chaos before Eden appeared, and if something predated humanity, then an unavoidable question arises: who inhabited the universe before us? The Bible suggests that before humans were created, a spiritual kingdom already existed, a dwelling place of powerful and mysterious entities. But who were they, and what role did they play in God's creation? One of the most crucial clues about this mystery is found in Job 38, 4-7, where God asks Job, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy." This passage indicates that before the earth was created, there were already beings witnessing this event with awe and joy. The sons of God, a term often used to refer to angels, were present even before the physical world was formed. But if they existed before creation, what was their role in God's plan? Were they merely observers, or did they have a greater purpose? The Bible does not describe the spiritual realm as an empty and silent place before the birth of humanity. On the contrary, there was an established order, a structured hierarchy of divine authority that existed before the earth was set in place. Angels were not the only beings mentioned. There were also cherubim, seraphim, archangels, and other mysterious entities, each with distinct roles. Ancient texts outside the Bible suggest that the spiritual world was a realm of great activity, where heavenly beings carried out divine tasks. Some were messengers, some were guardians of cosmic order, and others wielded immense power over different aspects of creation. But as with any system, harmony was not always maintained. There are indications that a rebellion occurred within the spiritual realm, a conflict that may have dramatically altered the history of the universe and directly influenced the formation of the Garden of Eden. Some scholars believe this event is linked to the fall of Lucifer, one of the most powerful angels. If angels existed before Eden was created, could the formation of the garden itself have been a response to an event in the spiritual realm? Could Eden have been a new beginning established by God after a great rebellion? These questions open a new perspective on creation and the hidden mysteries within the Bible. If a cosmic conflict took place before humanity's existence, who were its participants? What was at stake? And most importantly, how did this war impact the fate of the earth and the creation of mankind? To gain a deeper understanding, we must analyze one of the most enigmatic events in theology, the fall of Satan and the possible cosmic war that occurred before the formation of the Garden of Eden. If spiritual kingdoms, heavenly beings, and an established order existed before paradise was created, what happened that made the world need restoration? Why was Eden created? The answer may lie in a pivotal event mentioned throughout the Bible, the rebellion of Satan. Although the Bible does not provide a direct, detailed account of this event, we can find clues scattered throughout different passages. Ezekiel 28:12-17 describes a figure referred to as the King of Tyre. But many scholars believe that this passage is not merely about an earthly ruler. It also reflects the fall of Lucifer. You were the model of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in the garden of God. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until wickedness was found in you. If this passage truly refers to Satan, then he was not a lowly being, but once held a high and honored position in the heavenly realm. But what happened that turned him from a glorious angel into the enemy of God? Another significant clue lies in Isaiah 14:12-15, where the Bible says, "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly on the utmost heights of the north." These words reveal a rebellious ambition, a desire to surpass the limits of creation and elevate himself to the level of the Creator. If a celestial rebellion did take place, it was a momentous event that may have altered the course of creation itself. Another glimpse into this conflict is found in Revelation 12:7-9. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But they were not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. If Satan and his followers were defeated and cast out of heaven, then where did they go? Some scholars believe this event may have occurred before the Garden of Eden was created, and that earth, described in Genesis 1:2 as formless and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep, was the place where they were banished. This could explain why the earth was in a state of desolation before God declared, "Let there be light." If Satan fell before humanity was created, then the Garden of Eden may have been God's response to that rebellion. The garden was not just a perfect paradise. It may have held strategic significance in the spiritual realm, serving as a symbol of God's presence and sovereignty in direct contrast to the fallen enemy. This raises a crucial question. What was God's true purpose in creating humanity? The Garden of Eden was not merely a dwelling place for Adam and Eve. It was part of a greater divine plan. Humanity was given dominion and authority, suggesting that they were not simply created to exist, but to play an essential role in the order of creation. If Satan had already been cast down to earth, then giving humans dominion over it may have been part of God's plan to restore order. This also explains why Satan sought to corrupt Adam and Eve. He wanted to reclaim the power he had lost. But if humanity held such an important role, why did God allow them to face temptation in the garden? Was their fall a failure, or was it part of a much larger plan? That is what we will continue to explore. Another noteworthy point is that if a rebellion took place in the spiritual realm before the Garden of Eden was created, then the garden itself might hold a far greater significance than merely being paradise. It could be part of God's grand design, a strategic element in the ongoing conflict between good and evil. Was humanity created simply to enjoy the beauty of nature, or were humans given a far more significant role in an invisible war that spans both the spiritual and physical realms? When we read Genesis 2, it becomes clear that Eden was not just a garden, but a sacred place, a domain meticulously and purposefully crafted by God. The earth had previously been engulfed in chaos and void, yet a perfect garden emerged, a sign that God was not only restoring order, but also establishing a place where humanity could dwell in His presence. Why create a perfect garden in a world that had once been in disorder? Perhaps Eden was not just a dwelling place for humans, but a strategic base in God's plan to redeem and restore order. The name Eden carries profound meaning in Hebrew. It signifies joy, delight, and hints at a place where humanity could directly commune with the Creator. But if we look beyond the surface, Eden was more than a physical location. It was a point of convergence between the material and spiritual worlds. It was where heaven and earth met, a place where humans were not only meant to live, but also entrusted with a critical mission. This leads to an intriguing hypothesis. Could humanity's creation be part of God's plan to restore order? If so, then mankind's role extends far beyond that of mere gardeners. Instead, they were created to rule the earth under God's authority, possibly replacing a previous order that had been disrupted. Genesis 1:26 states, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." This verse highlights a crucial truth. Humanity was given dominion, a position that may have once belonged to spiritual beings. And if that is the case, then the emergence of mankind on Earth could have altered the balance of a war that had begun long before. So, if the Earth and the Garden of Eden held such strategic significance, how would God's adversary respond? It is no surprise that Satan, after being cast out of heaven, would recognize that God was granting dominion over the world to a new creation. If his goal was to retain control and continue disrupting divine order, he would seek to sabotage this plan at all costs. The appearance of the serpent in the garden may not have been merely a test of morality. It could have been a strategic move in a spiritual war. Eve's temptation did not just lead to human downfall, it shook the very foundation of the authority that God had bestowed upon humanity. If mankind lost its rightful position, Satan could continue to exert influence over the world. Thus, Eden was not just a garden. It was the first battlefield in the war between light and darkness, between God's intentions and the adversary's opposition. And if humanity's fall altered the original plan, it raises a deeper question. Was Eden the first paradise that God created? Or have there been other cycles of creation and destruction before it? To uncover the answer, we must expand our perspective beyond the Bible. examining how ancient civilizations interpreted the origins of the world and the recurring stories of cosmic restoration passed down through generations. And that is what we will explore in the next section. If the creation of the Garden of Eden was a monumental event, could there have been an era before it that we have yet to uncover? Is there evidence from ancient civilizations that speaks of a primordial age of chaos, a celestial war, or a world that was destroyed and then rebuilt? When analyzing ancient texts, we find that many cultures share a common narrative, an age of primordial disorder, a conflict between supernatural forces, and the emergence of a new order. Are these merely myths, or do they contain clues to a forgotten truth? The Sumerians, one of the oldest known civilizations, left behind records of the world's formation following a struggle among divine forces. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, describes the god Marduk defeating Tiamat, the embodiment of chaos, and creating a new order from the remnants of battle. This bears a striking resemblance to the biblical description of an earth that was formless and void before being shaped into the world we know. Greek mythology also speaks of an initial state of chaos from which the first gods emerged. Before the world had order, a great war broke out between the Titans and the gods of Mount Olympus, an epic clash reminiscent of the heavenly rebellion in the Bible, where the fallen angels rose against God and were cast down. In Jewish extra-biblical texts, such as the Book of Enoch, there are accounts of fallen angels, known as the Watchers, who imparted forbidden knowledge to humanity and disrupted the original divine order. Notably, this concept is not exclusive to Jewish tradition, but appears in multiple cultures, where humanity is depicted as having interacted with supernatural beings that brought both enlightenment and destruction. If civilizations across the world have preserved memories of an age of chaos, a cosmic conflict, and a world that was remade, is this merely coincidence? Or could it be evidence of a real event that once occurred? Could it be that the world as we know it today is not the first version, but one that has undergone multiple cycles of destruction and rebirth? This leads to a crucial question. If creation is not a singular event, but a repeating cycle, where are we now within that cycle? The Bible hints at an ultimate restoration in Revelation 21-22, where a new heaven and a new earth will emerge, free from death and suffering, where humanity will once again be reunited with God, just as it was in the original Garden of Eden. If the world has been reset before, could humanity be approaching another great transformation? Could all the upheavals of our time be part of a much larger cycle, an ongoing spiritual war that we have yet to fully grasp? If the Garden of Eden is not merely a story of the past, but also a foreshadowing of the future, then is it possible that humanity may one day find its way back to paradise? From what we have uncovered, it is clear that the story of creation is far more complex than we once believed. The Bible hints at a time of chaos before heaven was established, a conflict that may have taken place before humanity's arrival, and a divine plan to restore order. If this is part of a larger cycle, where do we currently stand in this story? There is an intriguing possibility. If the Garden of Eden was lost, could it also be restored? If the world has undergone cycles of destruction and renewal, are we now approaching a new creation? If everything is unfolding according to a grand design, then this story is far from over, and we are still part of it. Perhaps the answer lies in our own choices. If Eden was lost due to a wrong decision, could its restoration depend on making the right one? Ancient civilizations across the world tell of an age of chaos, a cosmic war, and the re-establishment of order. The Book of Enoch describes fallen angels interfering with humanity. Greek mythology speaks of the battle between the Titans and the Olympian gods. Are these just myths, or do they reflect a forgotten truth? The Bible does not only speak of paradise lost, it also describes its restoration in Revelation 21-22. A new world where the tree of life returns, the river of life flows once more, and humanity is no longer separated from God. If history moves in cycles, could we be approaching a pivotal moment? What do you think? Is paradise merely a thing of the past, or is it also a promise for the future? Share your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications as we continue to explore the mysteries of the Bible. This story is not yet over, and perhaps you are still a part of it.